the game, cause see the boxing voice.
Mario's Throwdown Fantasy Minute.
You're listening to Mario's Throwdown Fantasy Minute, giving you the winning strategy and tactical advice for your fantasy boxing team, making the points that earn you the points, preparing you for the big games that earn you big cash prizes, giving you the guarantees, sleepers, and buyer bewares. This segment is brought to you by ThrowdownFantasy.com, the only boxing-oriented fantasy game on the market dedicated to real fight fans with real know.
All right, well, fight fans, welcome to another edition of Mario's Throwdown Fantasy Minute. And real quick before we jump into the main contest, I do want to break down a small recap of the Cotto Canelo contest. This was a very big, successful contest. You know, a lot of money was given out. A lot of money was distributed, and I want to break down the keys to victory. Now, I said when I broke down this contest that this was going to come down to wins. This is not a pick'em contest. I've said many times before. However, strategies change from contest to contest depending on who's fighting and how the fights are presented to you and which fights you can pick from. So, because of the fights that you had to choose from, this came down to wins. And if you notice, this was one of the highest totals on the graphic. A fighter by the name of Left Jab, Right Cross, who you'll probably recognize if you've played the contest before because he's won plenty of money in the past. He's, I think, the third highest win total. This was his team of fighters made up of Tyson Fury, Jermall Charlo, Francisco Vargas, Daquan Arnett, and James DeGale. What do all those guys have in common? Well, what they all have in common is that they all won their fights. Tyson Fury, Klitschko, I told you to stay away from that fight. At the end of the day, I was right because they produced a very, very low number altogether. Tyson Fury, who won the fight, ended up with 33.6 points, which is just absolutely pathetic. It was a bad pick, but when you got him for as cheap as you got him, you know, I think he was coming up around 4,700 if I'm not mistaken. You know, then obviously a win's a win, but it was definitely a low number for sure. Jermall Charlo, 101 points, fantastic. Francisco Vargas, I had said that was going to be a big point type of fight, and you got a lot of points out of loser Mira, who I did pick, and I will admit. And then Daquan Arnett, that's the last one I wanted to go over. He had 121.2 points, okay? So I'll go over this real quick. He got the decision win for 30 points, right? He got a knockout bonus of 80 points because he got the KO in the first round. Punches landed, he had 1.2, which totaled to 12 points, right? And so that was the big thing for him. He was, at the end of the day, in a position where he, you know, added up the points, and he got it as well as he could get it. And listen, it paid off. It paid off. And the best thing about him was that he was very cheap. Very, very cheap at the end of the day. He was 4,600. So was his opponent, Udell Johnson. So those were a few of the breakdowns right there.